Now the judges will introduce themselves.
Good morning, Rhode Island. My name is Petra Al-Sufi, and I am the Outreach and Partnership Manager at the Institute for Social Policy and Understanding. We are a research and education think tank that does research on American Muslims and other faith communities. I'm also on the board of the Michigan Center for Civic Education. And many years ago, I was in your place as a student participant in We the People program. So this is me telling you, enjoy the moment, as stressful as it is. It will stick around with you and hopefully will inspire you to continue civic education in, public service down the road. I will let my fellow judges introduce themselves.
Good morning, Rhode Island. My name is Dan Wong. I'm a retired attorney and former judge. I'm on the National Board of Directors for the Center for Civic Education, and I live in Boise, Idaho. I'm very excited to listen to your testimony and presentation this morning.
Good morning, Rhode Island. My name is Maria Garnett. I live in Richmond, Virginia. I'm a state government policy professional. I'm currently a policy advisor for the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services, and I have a lot of experience doing nonpartisan policy analysis and evaluating the performance of government programs for the Virginia General Assembly. This is my third year of involvement with We the People, and I am very jealous of all of you getting to do it as students. I wish I would have known about it when I was your age. Can't wait to talk with you this morning.
Students, please go ahead and introduce yourself and your teacher.
We are Unit 6. I'm Caden Delby.
I'm Aiden Bienvenu.
I'm Elvin Zuridonis.
I'm Jacqueline Vincent.
I'm Haley Hoyle, and we are all freshmen at North Smithfield High School, and we're accompanied by our teacher, Mrs. O'Brien.
All right, nice to have you all here. So I'm going to go ahead and read the question, and you have 4 minutes to give your opening statement. The question we have here is President Dwight Eisenhower said, "We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. Do you agree or disagree, and why? In what disagreement did the founders have about a standing army, and are they relevant today? And to what extent should there be an international U.S. military presence?"
During the Revolutionary War, United States citizens were confronted by the British Standing Army. Due to British actions, a bad reputation towards the Standing Army arose. These experiences shaped American views and led directly to ideas in the Articles of Confederation. However, during the Constitutional Convention, the founders recognized that a national military may be needed and were careful to divide the power among the government. Brutus, an anti-federalist, did not support the Standing Army. He thought that it would scare citizens and create distrust in the government. He argued, quote, "They've always proved the destruction of liberty and are abhorrent to the spirit of a free republic," end quote. Brutus thought that no country with a standing army is free. James Madison, a Federalist, also believed that a standing army could pose danger. He thought that if there's ever a need for battle in the United States, the militias could handle it. In Federalist 46, Madison opined, quote, "To these would be opposed a militia amounting to nearly 500,000 citizens with arms in their hands," end quote. However, Madison believed that a small standing army should be present in case of emergency.
Neither of these opinions would still be relevant today. To Brutus, the country has had a standing army since 1789, and people have not feared it. The standing army is used for a purpose of protection against foreign agitators. The standing army has not been used as Brutus feared to scare people, but instead creates a sense of security in case the United States is ever attacked. Madison's ideas also don't relate to today. There is still a militia in the form of the National Guard, but it would not stand up to the standing army. The standing army deals with all foreign affairs to make sure the United States can do well in combat, and the militia also wouldn't be able to easily travel overseas to fight or deal with international affairs.
Strength in numbers also would not help because many standing armies around the world are larger than the National Guard. In fact, as of 2018, there are 1.3 million soldiers in the U.S. Standing Army and only around 441,000 soldiers in the National Guard. This is not the only debate that's surrounding the military throughout history. At his farewell address, Dwight Eisenhower said, "We must guard against the acquisitions of unwarranted influence by the military-industrial complex. The disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist." Eisenhower is warning of the military-industrial complex becoming too powerful, and he is right. The military-industrial complex is a relation between a country's government, its military, and the defense industries that supply it. It is always creating weapons for war when they are not needed. In 2018, the United States spent nearly $649 billion on the military, which could be used for more important things.
Eisenhower said in his April 1953 speech, quote, "Every gun that is made, every warship launched, signified, in the final sense, a theft from those who are hungry and not fed, those who are cold and not clothed," end quote. The U.S. overall spends too much money to maintain the military when it really isn't needed. Congress should stop supplying money for the military-industrial complex and reallocate those funds to a greater need. The military-industrial complex also doesn't involve the people. It goes between the executive, Congress, and independent suppliers, which don't have a direct influence from the people. The military overall should not be getting this much budget for the work it does.
Views on the U.S. international military presence is always changing. George Washington believed that the U.S. should avoid foreign conflict, maintain neutrality, and only have temporary allies. Although many people agreed with Washington, this view of foreign policy was not followed for long after his term. The U.S. is now part of the United Nations, which is an intergovernmental organization that aims to maintain international peace and security, develop friendly relations among nations, and achieve international cooperation, and be a center for harmonizing the actions of nations. Although being a part of this organization can be beneficial, the U.S. should try to stay out of foreign affairs to maintain many lives and save the billions of dollars spent on the U.S. military for the country's other needs. In the end, the U.S. military is a powerful force that should be supplied only when needed.
All right, thank you. So the first follow-up question is, it seems your stand is the U.S. should obviously stay out of foreign affairs and leave some of that to the UN to handle. Given the fact that U.S. military is present in more than 100 of 70, 80 countries have military bases, what strategy would you recommend the U.S. military take to either reduce or remove these military bases, or do you believe they should stay and just not get involved in new ones? And of course, support your argument.
I feel like they should take the military out of those countries where it's not needed. I think they should only have the military in allied countries where they may need to help, or in countries where they're actively in war.
Also, countries that really benefit our economy and we trade with are the most important to keep our troops in those countries.
So you indicated that you believe that there should be a U.S. military presence overseas only when needed, and you've indicated where, for example, a country where the United States benefits from their presence. I'm wondering what other criteria or factors you would identify as when needed. It's kind of an inarticulate question, but that's what it is. It's when are we needed?
What we would be needed when we are kind of have suspicion where there is going to be war or like terrorism attacks, and we need to kind of scope out to make sure that the U.S. wouldn't be getting attacked.
Yeah, we would also be needed after an attack and during times of war after we have been attacked, because really the only time the U.S. military should be actively in combat is after they are attacked, after they are aggravated.
I agree with Caden. I feel that we shouldn't be going and putting ourselves into new wars. We should only really be going into war if we need to when someone attacks us first, because it's smarter to keep peace.
A key example of this would be Pearl Harbor. When we were attacked, our Navy was attacked first, so we had to defend ourselves.
So I'd like to ask a question relating to one of the other topics that you mentioned in a couple different ways. The idea that there are more important things, or there are greater needs for the funding that is currently allocated for our gargantuan military presence around the world. Where exactly would you reallocate those funds, and why?
One place that the funds could be reallocated is to the population of people that are in poverty. There are a lot of people in poverty in the United States. So it would be nice if the government were able to supply them with some more protection, supply them with more food and housing, just so they could live a better life.
We could also reallocate those funds to people in needs of jobs. There are many people around the country today that are in lack of an occupation.
And can you explain to me how reallocating those funds to those causes still promotes the defense of the United States?
Well, we would still keep money going to the military and we'd still be able to defend ourselves, but we just need to reduce on the money going into the military and just keep it at the bare minimum to make sure our army is able to fight back if we ever need to be defended.
Okay, so I'm going to switch gear a little bit and ask you a different question. Should junior reserve officer training corps programs recruit students in high schools? Why or why not?
Yes, because it's giving an opportunity to kids who want to make a difference, and showing them the right step to make a difference.
So the question has to do with Eisenhower's famous quote regarding the military industrial complex. I'm wondering if we shouldn't be more concerned about the military technology complex. Any thoughts on that?
There are definitely concerns with the military technology complex with the inventions of, and the creations of a lot of different new types of bombs and weapons that probably aren't really needed and they just are a step too far.
Can you give me some examples of a new technological weapon that you think is not needed or is too far? Any of you? Okay.
You talked about the different numbers in the standing army compared to the National Guard. Is it ever appropriate for National Guard troops to be deployed not just in a protective or humanitarian way in the United States, but to fight against states, for example? And if so, what would those conditions need to be?
Definitely. So if we are in a deficit somewhere where we need more troops or more protection, it's always smart to use your extra troops to bring them into battle to have a better advantage.
I don't think we should be using them against the states because we're trying to build up our union and we're so already in debt with $28 trillion in debt, and it would just create more problems where we'd have to find even more money to fix our states if there is a big war that would happen against the states.
Another question that I have for you is, do you think the culture of the U.S. military is reflective of the culture of America or the U.S. Citizens? Why or why not?
Yes, we fought so hard throughout many years to get rights for African Americans, many other cultures, women even. We got the right for them to be in the military as well, and African Americans as seen today with so many diverse cultures.
So it appears to me that based on your testimony, you believe that we should reduce our U.S. military presence overseas. And it's always good to know and understand the other side. So I'm wondering if anyone of you can articulate the other side, that being the America First policy for use of the military.
Sorry, I hate to cut you off, but that's time.
Okay.
That was a good question, though.
All right. Great job, guys. Nice opening statement. I thought you presented the argument well, especially going into historical explanation of why you took certain positions. You also did take a position on the question, and you defended that. And then with the follow-up questions, you did take you did take positions, and you answer the questions. Although your answers were very, very quick and brief, I would have liked to hear a little bit more about what you thought, or some of the historical precedents for it, or examples. So that's something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is pay attention to your colleagues. You all participated, and you all tried to answer the questions. There were a few times when you were cutting each other off. So I know it's hard with Zoom. Believe me, I know that. So just be a little bit more mindful. Make sure that you're checking who else is trying to speak, and give them a chance. But nice job.
So I did enjoy your 4-minute testimony. You did answer the question and showed that you had done, a good amount of research. You had facts and details and quotes to back up your answer. With respect to the answers to the cross-examination questions, obviously they were kind of short, and I agree with Petra that I would have liked a little more expounding of your direct. Quite frankly, they were directly answered the cross-examination questions, but we would have liked a little more additional bases for your particular answers. And quite frankly, we know that it is difficult for students to answer our cross-examination questions, because you really don't know what we're going to ask. And sometimes, quite frankly, they're coming from left field. But certainly, preparation is important in answering cross-examination questions. And you're a freshman, and I hope you have the ability to do this again. Let me make a recommendation that I did when I was mentoring and coaching teams. It's beneficial to actually dedicate some time to having your other We the People team members fire questions at you, and have you answer questions on a regular basis, because again, you don't know what they're going to be asking. They could ask questions from left field. They could ask questions certainly related to the basic question. And the more time you spend doing that, the more experience you will have in answering cross-examination questions. So let me make that suggestion to you. And I'm sure that as you progress, that you'll be able to answer the questions more. But I did enjoy your presentation. It did have the appropriate quotes and facts. Thank you.
Oh, I just want to re-emphasize the point that all of you being freshmen is amazing. Honestly, most of the students who are competing at nationals are juniors and seniors. A lot of them are seniors. So the fact that you are here getting to represent your state is amazing. And I hope that all of you continue to participate in this program, and in general, seeking out these kinds of opportunities. You have started high school during one of the most challenging times in US history, and I can imagine that your high school experience so far is not what you imagined it would be. So I just want to encourage you all to be persistent and keep challenging yourself like you did today. I don't have much more to add to what my fellow judges said, but just a good rule of thumb, whether it's in We the People answers, or as you continue in high school and then later on into college, your opinion alone is not going to be a sufficient argument or defense of a position, right? So it's great to tell us what you think, but you always want to make sure that there's something else supporting that. And especially if that can be more references to the history that you've studied, references to elements of the Constitution that help to reflect the idea that supports your own opinion. You know, speaking what you think is part of the whole point of this program, but connecting it to our broader system of government is also what we're looking for. So again, you know, I hope you all take a deep breath, feel really good about just how well you're doing as young people. I'm excited for the future of your state and our country with you all in it. So thank you.